All right, how to fix ghosting in the chats. Let's hop right into it. So, basically, I just wanted to give you guys like just a framework to think about how to resolve ghosting, right? Because ghosting happens, people read it or whatever, and then you see the double check mark, and then you're like, okay, well, maybe you left me on red. You follow up with them a few times, maybe, and then they don't, respond. So, I just want to give you guys a framework and just a thought process for how you can think about how to do this, or how to fix the ghosting, or how to get someone to reply back, right? So there's a few different reasons for ghosting, so I want to cover those just uh, in general. And you'll notice that none of them are personal, meaning that like none of them are like I hate you and I don't want to respond type stuff. It's usually one of these things, right? So the first one is loss of interest or relevance, right? So maybe the question we asked them before, maybe the thing that we asked them is like not interesting to them, so they just or they don't feel like it's relevant, so they don't respond, right? Um, Next one is like information overload or feeling overwhelmed. So meaning like maybe we dumped too much text on their head or said something too much. So now they're like feeling some kind of way about it, right? Or maybe they just don't know how to respond. So that's another example. Miscommunication and misunderstanding. Maybe they don't understand what we said or understand our question, so we need to clarify. Another one is time constraints or busy schedules, right? So maybe that they were on the go and they checked their phone, but then they for whatever reason didn't check their phone again or whatever, right? Busy guy, busy person. So time constraints. Another one is like technical issues. So sometimes they like are at a place where the signal's not good, and so that could also be a thing. And the other one is personal emergencies or life events, right? And so because of all this stuff, like this is, as you notice, like I mentioned a second ago, none of this is personal, right? It's usually about their life or things that are going on. So the principle I want you to remember from before is fortune is in the follow up, right? And so I have a procedure that I kind of use that I think that can help you just think of like different ways to do this, right? And so I have a three follow up system laid out right here. You can totally do more or less, right? My recommendation is uh, for for the most part, if you don't want to come off as too desperate or too needy or you know what I mean, too whatever, then I would say three is really good number, right? Seven is a lot, and you can definitely do seven if you want to go that far, if you want to be a little more aggressive. I find that like if you do a really effective job with three, then you tend to get better results and you don't have to worry about it as much. But to each his own, right? So apply this how you see fit. So we have initial follow up, right? But the first one is we just wait for 24 hours, right? So we're waiting for 24 hours, right? And then after 24 hours, we're going to send something, relatively empathetic and polite. And we're giving them kind of an out at the same time, right? So we say something like, hey, life's busy. I get it. Just following up in case you wanted to continue our conversation. We would say something like, or did I lose you? Or, any questions for me? Right. I've also seen like, not much of a talker. Are you? LOL. Right. Remember, the goal of a follow up is to get a response, to get them back in the conversation, and then we kind of move it forward, right? I find that a lot of people where they make a mistake with follow up is that that's too salesy, where they're like, "Hey, are you still interested in this?" Or "Hey, hey, do you told me that you wanted to blah blah blah, right? Are you ready?" Like when you're ever doing follow up, like if you can come from it from a more of like empathetic standpoint and basically kind of give them an out, that can help. Another one that works really well is like using tech as a as an excuse, right? But anyway, so initial follow up is one of these. Let's say they don't respond or they read it and don't respond, right? Then we're just going to wait another 24 hours. Or you can wait 24 hours or you can wait 2 to 48 hours, up to you how long you want to wait. And then you can kind of come in a little bit more personalized, right? So on the first follow up, it's pretty lighthearted. The second one, it's like, all right, cool. Let me see if I can get their attention, right? So we're going to focus on their pain points or goals to increase the likelihood of re-engagement. So we would say something like, hey, is getting this still a priority for you, right? Or X being whatever the outcome it is. Okay. Hey, just bumping this to the top of your messages. Are you still interested in X? Yep. Said, hey, name, I know you wanted to get X solved. Is this still a problem for you? Right. So you'll notice that I'm opening the conversation by being more specific about their pain points on the second follow up, and on the third follow up, what I find is that sometimes it's better to just leave on a good note. Right. So you don't get a response. You don't get a response. Okay, cool. You can just kind of end the interaction, but you can leave the chat on a good note. So here's an example. So this would be a few days after the second follow-up, right? And they don't respond. It could be 24 hours, right? So this could be, 1, 2, 3, 24 hours, 24 hours, 24 hours, or it could be 24, 48, 72, up to you how you want to do it, right? Um, anyway, so but the example is we're basically gonna leave the door open for them, and we're gonna give them some free value, right? We said, hey man, by the way, it's been great chatting with you. You're awesome. I sincerely wish you the best in the world. Here's a link to my free gift, right? And then you give them a link. Hope that helps, and looking forward to chatting with you in the future, right? Um, you notice that the other ones are very similar, right? But basically, we want to give them something for free, ideally, right? It could be a cheat sheet, could be a video, whatever you want to give them. And if you leave the conversation on a good note, when they come back later in the future, they will remember that thing, and then they'll feel kind of indebted to you to make sure that they move forward on the next thing, right? Remember that we're the way that we're driving leads here is through social media, right? And so there's like lots of followers, and so just because somebody becomes a follower today, or you chat with someone today, and they don't buy, doesn't mean that they won't buy in the future. It just means that we need to stay engaged with them and keep them engaged, right? And so if you leave the conversation on a good note and they come back to the chat, see it, maybe consume your content, right? They're going to come back in a few months and be like, hey, look, I read your book or whatever, and I'm ready to buy now. I'm ready to find out more information. This happens way more times than I can even like calculate at this point, right? So there's like that we want to optimize for that. So anyway, cool. That's going to be how we fix ghosting in the chats. Make sure to document this stuff, right? Maintaining like good records and like actually tracking and like understanding at what points people ghost, or what scripts are being said when people ghost. That data is like very invaluable. So that's going to end this video. Chat with you guys very soon. Have a good day.